40 minutes out. I don't know how long it will be. 40 minutes, less than that. We'll show you some of the other apps that students are using, and hopefully many of you can stick around for that, and hopefully we'll see a lot of you as well at the remaining sessions later on this week. So come up and ask us questions, have a drink, and we'll continue this in about 10-15 minutes.
We've got about 3 or 4 slides left, and after the presentation is finished, there'll be a number of iPads will be handed out to the various tables. On those iPads is some of the apps that we're going to be talking about. So we'll demonstrate on the screen, and then you have a go using the app as well. If you're not new to the iPad and you need some help in just navigating around the iPad, we have a team of staff who are going to also will be one person on each table to help you out. So you're going to get a lot of help. All right? This last section here is still with a student. So my university and Mario's university, we have a learning management system. What we use is Moodle. Mario uses the LMS system, learning management system of Blackboard. Does this university have a learning management system at all? With forums, ability for students to upload their assignments, see their marks. That's what we call a learning management system. So those systems also have apps. So students can access their content or upload their content directly from their iPad. They can also receive notifications when someone's posted to a forum as well. Then there's Dropbox, so students can use Dropbox to share content or to will share content between their computer at home and their iPad. iAnnotate, we've spoken about that before, where students can then annotate or put arrows or write text onto PowerPoint presentations or keynote or PDF documents. GoodNotes. This is an app that allows a student to write notes in a lecture environment. A lot of students are using this particular app. How did the student get that text so small with their finger? What happens is that at the bottom of the iPad there's a field where the student can write a word with their finger, and then it shrinks that word down and drops it on the page. So you can write large letters, zooms down, drops it into the top of the page there, so it's smaller text, finer text. Cloud On. A lot of students are using Cloud On. Cloud On allows you to access, to read, to create new documents or to edit documents for Microsoft Office. So you can then edit Word documents, you can edit PowerPoint, you can edit Excel documents through Cloud On. So it operates like a server. So those files are stored in the server, you access the server, then you use the software in the server to add content to your Word, PowerPoint or Excel file. Then there's Feedly. Feedly is RSS feeder. What that does is that it allows students to have a catalogue of all their lecture recordings or audio recordings. So it takes, all our lectures are recorded. So therefore the student can use this one app to have all their lectures listed. Just tap on that particular title of that lecture and then it starts playing. Also there's Twitter and Facebook. So the social media apps available on the iPad. Now we know Facebook is used by the vast majority of students to keep track of their friends, add up status updates. But we also find in the university environment students are using Facebook to communicate with students in your group. So imagine tutorial with say 30 students, a group of say 10 or so students may form a subgroup, and then they share each other's Facebook account, create a group in Facebook, and then they can communicate with each other in that small group. So they can help each other in study-wise, they can plan a study group to meet somewhere, or they can even plan to go out as a group to a social function. Having social functions or networking with other students is an important part of university life. And also, by having those sort of strong support groups with their peers, it also reduces retention or students dropping out of university full stop. Help. No time, no skills, no can do. We are here to help you. So you've all got the agenda for this week. We are in this room here for the whole week. We'll be in this room. We're running a number of sessions in this room with iPads that Apple has loaned us for this week. They're all loaded with the software ready to be used. We're quite happy for you to drop in and out. If you're teaching, you can only spare half an hour, just come in and drop in and we'll work with you. We've got a number of planned activities that are aimed at the sort of level that you're at. Slow pace. Mari and I were here to float around and help you, as well as some of the Apple staff to participate as well. So please come along to these sessions. Keep that agenda item close to you in your office so you can check what's happening and come on down to this room here. So that's the original slide. We'll be going for session 3 tomorrow morning, going into more detail about medical apps, but more importantly, how can you use these apps in your teaching and learning? How do you use them in a tutorial? How can you use them in a lecture environment? This is what these hands-on sessions are all about. Then we're going to capture some content to be used for our anatomy workshop. Content creation. We want you to bring along some of your content that you use in a lecture environment. If you can bring on the digital format, that's good. We can then show you how to upload it and create a learning plan or a lesson out of that content. Then we'll be running a session with the students, staff and students working together on that. And lastly, how to create your own interactive books. It's not a difficult process. Within sort of 20, 30 minutes, you'll know how to create an interactive, engaging book. This session here would like to meet with some of the students. One thing we'd like to encourage with students is to form a group of students who are experts where they can then start helping each other, peer-to-peer assistance, in how to use this technology for their learning environment. And then finally we'll have a wrap-up session, session 9 on Friday. So that's the end of session 1. Is there any questions at all to myself or Mario?
I might just point out, I had a couple of people ask me questions during the afternoon tea break that were really interesting questions, so I thought I might share those questions and Tim and I could chat about some of the answers, because they're questions that we get asked quite a bit actually. The first question that you had was, in our anatomy labs, have we replaced, so I'm paraphrasing here your question a little bit, but have we replaced all of the anatomical specimens with just tables of iPads and virtual anatomy apps? And the answer to that is no, we absolutely haven't. The iPad does not, in my class and in Tim's class, replace an actual dissection, a specimen, a pathology pot, whatever it is. It's really important in health sciences and in medicine that students actually have access to this material. It's a real privilege. It's something that they need to be exposed with, they need to become comfortable with. So no, it doesn't replace any of that. But it does mean that if students are struggling with a concept in an anatomy lab and they can't find a tutor or a demonstrator, or they want to work with a group of students to identify something that's, say, been marked in a specimen, they can absolutely use these apps to help them understand what it is they should be seeing in a specimen. Sometimes in a specimen, the muscle app that we showed, sometimes in a specimen, if we're asking students to identify the point of origin or insertion of a particular muscle, or maybe the pathway of a blood vessel. Sometimes that's actually quite hard to see if the specimen hasn't been dissected properly just to show that. You know, if there are lots of superficial muscles covering the point of origin or insertion of a muscle. So with a virtual anatomy app, they can do a virtual dissection and they can actually see exactly where that muscle is. Sometimes tendons, ligaments especially, are damaged in a dissection, or they're hard to see, or just the process of moving specimens around over a year or two damages them a bit. Structures that you want students to see sometimes just you can't see very well, so these apps can help. The other question that I was asked that was important was...
Can I just add to that one?
Yeah.
So a project that I'm working on that aspect with anatomy teachers is that creating resources on the iPad so that students can look at images of the dissected arm, for example, on the iPad before they go into the dissection room. So when they go into the dissection room, they become more focused. There's also little video clips we're creating showing a dissection as well, so they can watch all those on the iPad prior to going into the dissection room, so it becomes a more focused session, shorter session in the dissection room. Yep.
And actually Tim has also reminded me about something else. In our lab we're also trialling this year in a dissection class the use of iPads in that class. So in the past students would have handouts and guides to how to dissect a particular area. Now what they have are iPads which are actually covered in kind of protective plastic bags. That actually works fairly well, and the students can bring up videos that the staff have created showing where a particular specimen is or structure is, or how to do a dissection. So they can access all of their materials electronically while they're actually doing the dissection.
Agree.
And this university here actually does this in a really good way. I know at my university, the specimens that are on display, the dissections, often get damaged because staff will put pins in them and move them around and label things. And new dissections have to be made every year or whatever, and it's a problem. If you can actually take images of the dissections and use apps like this particular app, a student could actually, you wouldn't have to put pins in the specimens or anything or highlight things. You could actually highlight things on the images in your app, and then a student could literally bring their iPad, take a picture of it or just scan the specimen, and actually it will identify the various muscles that they need to know for that session. There were a couple of other questions as well. Yep. Okay, so the two questions there for those who didn't hear. Your first question was actually the second question that I got here, so I was going to talk about that. And that was the fact that, our own graphs showed you that students bring multiple devices to class. They don't just bring iPads, they bring iPhones and Mac laptops, and they bring Windows laptops, and they bring Android devices. Not as many, but they do bring these other devices. So how do we actually deal with that? Okay, so we are a BYO university. We don't buy one device for all students, so we do have to think about that. One of the ways that I've gotten around that issue a little bit is actually by trying to find or making sure that some of the really key things that I do are compatible with a few different devices. So Tim actually went through PDF Expert with you before. So this is a handout that I created for my class for the iPad on nervous system that students with an iPad could actually type into, because in the past they would be just print things out. Most of them would never get their handout from the printer, and there'd just be lots of paper. On the iPad, There's an app called PDF Expert which actually recognises forms, and students can type into their handouts and actually draw and do all of that. But a student with a Windows PC can basically use the Adobe Reader on that, or if they've got an Android tablet, there's also a free Adobe Reader that will recognise PDF forms, and those students can also type into their devices. I've also do have students with other devices tell me if there are equivalent apps. If there's something that's really important, I will try to see if something equivalent is out there on the Android device or anything. But I mean, this approach at least is a simple way of making sure that key things like handouts students have to fill and maybe submit are available on every platform and will work fine on tablet, laptop, desktop, smartphone. So the end of this, shows you a screenshot of that same handout on a smartphone. So if you've got very good eyes and very skinny fingers, you can type into your iPhone.
I just can add to that. About 2 years ago, I started off very simply by taking all my course content and converting it to the EPUB format. So these are now all electronic documents which can be read on any device. And I did the survey of the students, what they think about this, and the comment that I overwhelmingly got back was, why aren't all academics doing this? We are using these devices. Can you please have all your content in electronic format? So I started that 2 years ago, and then I just progressed from there.
And when I showed you a 3D model of that peptic ulcer, that 3D model, I can take all of those 3D models that I've made and put them into an iBook. So there's a really simple, easy way for students to access all of those models on their iPad. But for other students in the class, I can actually put those 3D models on the internet, and students can view them there. They have to click on different pages to see every model, so they don't get it in one nice iBook like a student with this device has, but they still get it. So I do have to always think about the other students in my class. It's something that is on my mind. Now, that was one of your questions. The second one
was content creation.
Yes, so we will demo that whole process this week of creating an iBook. That will happen partly on Tuesday, mostly on Thursday, but we will also demo how you can create small bits of interactive learning material. It actually, there isn't, I found it fairly simple to use programs like iBooks Author, for example, to create an iBook. I played around a bit with EPUB format before and tried to do that. I found that very hard. I mean, I don't have a lot of time. Tim doesn't have a lot of time. We teach, big
If you know how to
classes.
use Microsoft PowerPoint, iBook Author is simple to use. It won't take you long to learn, and that's a session we'll be running here.
Yeah.
And your students will be impressed.
There are,
Put your name on the book.
and we will also put up a list of resources that are available online. So there are lots of videos, websites. There's an Apple team here in Thailand. You can even send Tim and I emails. But there's a huge amount of material out there, step-by-step guides. Recently I was looking to create a picture in Photoshop for my students. I actually went to YouTube and just typed in, how do I do this? And there was a video that I think a 10-year-old posted showing how to actually do this in Photoshop, and it was great. So there are lots of free resources out there. Initially it might take you, a few days to learn to navigate a particular program or an app, but it's actually pretty simple, most of the Apple stuff.
Is there any more questions from you? It can be a simple question. We're happy with those. you want to demonstrate this?
Okay, so you've all got, or hopefully each bench has now got, or table has got an iPad or a couple of iPads. So maybe we will demo or let you actually play around with some of the apps, or at least one of them.
Do you want to start with something easy first? You want me to demonstrate something easy? That MD one, MD Draw. I'll start with an easy app to begin with. Everyone got their iPad turned on? If there are any issues at all with the iPad, stick up your hand and we've got all these various people float around and just jump in and help you. Okay. So what I need to do is just need to connect this one. Okay. So what Gilbert's done just now is actually change iPad. So what was on this Mario's iPad is now gone, and this iPad here, so you can easily swap from iPad to iPad with Apple TV. This is good in a tutorial environment where your students want to demonstrate their work on the screen. One can then log off as such, the other one then logs in, and the image is displayed. The app that I wanted to demonstrate to start with is, I'll just bring it up and show you the icon. This one here, it's called Draw MD. This one here. Got that one? Just tap on it. Should have this screen here. Then tap on New Drawing. We're going to create a new drawing. What is this app used for? This app is used when you're working with a patient and you want to then demonstrate the procedure that you're about to do or the procedure they're going to have in surgery. So what we're going to do, we're going to select lower extremities. So just tap on lower extremities. And you should see a pair of legs. So just say this person has had swelling in the legs, pain in the legs, they've gone off and had an ultrasound to check to see if there's any deep vein thrombosis, and they've found a clot in one of the veins of the leg. You want to demonstrate to the patient where is that clot and the treatment they're going to use to try and resolve that clot. So you can use this app to demonstrate to the patient. So if you come down the bottom there where it's got the little stamp icon, if you tap that, and you can scroll up in the list, and there is a deep vein thrombosis image. So you tap on that image, it appears on your leg. You then place your finger and drag that up to the location of the deep vein thrombosis. So you drag that up, and then you've got the option to merge with background. So you can merge this image with the background, which is the leg. So you tap that merge with background, and it's frozen on me. Let me do it. Let me just bring it back. Just drop another one there. Okay. Let me just start again. normally that just would merge straight onto it. What you can do, if an app plays up, like this one is doing, use your 4 fingers on the iPad screen and push straight up. 4 fingers, straight up. It reveals this bar down the bottom. Has everyone got that bar showing? It normally does. So what I'm going to do, just tap on this one of these apps that are running, anyone. Then if I place 4 fingers up, what I want to do now is quit this app that's playing up. So I just place my finger, you don't tap it, you place. Place means to just touch the screen and don't move it. And they all start to wiggle. I'll show you. So, while it's wiggling, you can then tap on the little minus sign. What that does is close that app down. Has everyone done that? Has everyone closed that app down? So whatever you got on your screen, we're now going to go back to that app that was playing up. So with your 5 fingers, hold your 5 fingers on the screen and go like that. Just close them down. Close them down, and that will quit the app. Quit what's up there. So you can see there, if I place my fingers on the screen, go like so, it closes it down. We're back to the home screen. I can then tap on the app and start it up again. New drawing. What you can do is tap on one and select one from the list. You can set the Venus one, as I just did there, and you'll see that placed on the actual leg. What I can then do is use some of the other tools down here to add text. If I tap text, I can location, I can type location of plot. Yep. I can also draw on the area as well. I've also got an erase button where you can erase content. So it's a way of actually describing to the patient the procedure that's about to be performed. What we'll do now, we want you to close that down. So the quick way of closing an app down, 5 fingers on the screen, and then crunch it like that, and it will close down. So 5 fingers, crunch it down, and it closes. The next app that we'll describe is the Medscape, which is this one just here. Another pointer. Or do you want to do the other one, do you? Okay. Okay, you do that, yeah. Ah, okay, right. Just mention that then, yeah.
So I think the next app that I actually will go through is the Muscle System Pro, since it's one of the apps, and I'm pretty sure you have that on your, so you have that on your iPad. So this is the one that I actually showed you before. This is an app that Apple actually demos a lot in their own presentations. It's often featured in their commercials, so it's clearly an app that they absolutely love. There's a great video on Apple's website showing how teachers in India, rural India, are actually using this app just projected onto a curtain in a small class, and how they're using that to teach anatomy. Actually tonight I'll see if I can find the video and I can show it to you. It's just a few minutes long tomorrow. So if you just go to the home here and you tap on the home button there, that will actually show you the entire skeleton. You can tap on any region of the body to investigate the muscles further in that region. So I think I will probably, tap the head. There we go. So just double tap or zoom in with your fingers, and you can actually use your fingers to swipe and move around the head. So just drag your finger left and right. What you'll notice is the app is actually giving you tips here. So it's saying swipe to rotate. And there are tips at the bottom as well for how to use the app. At the moment we have the settings, the tips or hints settings turned on. So that's why you're seeing these messages. It's basically helping you to use the app. So you can turn around, left and right swipes, let you rotate up and down. You can remove layers of muscle by using this remove layer tool. So if we tap on that, it starts to dissect away various layers of muscle. You can add layers again. Now these are the muscles that are really hard to see in pro-sections, in specimens. So this is where an app like this is very useful. If you tap the pins button, it will actually drop pins onto the various muscles, and most of these pins are coloured in, which means that if you tap the pin, you'll get the name of the muscle. If you tap information, you'll actually see more information about the muscle. So the origin of the muscle, where it inserts, the action, the nerve supply and the blood supply. You can also tap this audio button here to hear how to pronounce the muscle. Students can add their own notes. The media button brings up video and slideshows that relate to that particular muscle. And public notes is where you can post a note that you make available online and other people can